Previously on You're Gonna Regret It.
Hi, Internet!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Shining Leaf review.
You can smurf on me! It's happening again! And then another actually funny clip of Gargamel to keep the numbness from setting in. Oh, how freaking kind of them!
At the end of the day, the only reason a movie this bad comes into existence is to cash in on a franchise that should have died a long time ago.
And now, we continue.
I am Fighting Leaf.
And Husky, I'm here too.
The leader-in-chief
Of this show and not much else.
Put together by twists of fate so great it's all beyond belief. Don't you give me no grief. My Lupin canine is suits me just like who you can see. Review kids movies with no beauty, not groovy, while brooding with moody me. That's how it's gotta be.
Fighting Leaf and Husky, I'm Husky. Fighting Leaf and Husky, I'm Husky. Fighting Leaf and Husky, yeah, that's me.
Sure, they like them now, but that ain't gonna last. To minimize the damage, we gotta work fast. This is what we gotta do to help the kids to get it. Now listen to my review, you're gonna regret it. It's Husky by my side and I keep falling my chest. Make real bad kids movies with help from the rest. I am Fighting Leaf, the kid movie chief. Don't give me no grief, or you're gonna regret it.
Hi, Internet!
And welcome to You're Gonna Regret It with your hosts, Fighting Leaf and Husky the Wolf. The Smurfs was a terrible movie that made way more at the box office than it deserved. The corporate idea of shilling out expensive garbage to the most impressionable demographic out there without any real regard for narrative quality. The real question is, can Hank Azaria's performance redeem the sequel?
Probably not, but we're gonna watch it anyway.
Brace yourselves, folks. It's time for another day of regret. It's time for The Smurfs 2. Oh boy.
The stupid movie begins with Papa Smurf, voiced once more by the late Jonathan Winters, brewing up the title card.
The story really begins with a narration about the backstory of Smurfette, the only girl in the entire village. I'll bet she'll be super popular during the Valentine's Day special.
Anyway, the music gets loud and then... immersion broken!
Smooth, you're upstaging the narrator.
Yo, take it down a notch, my blues brothers.
Huh, I suddenly want to watch the much better Blues Brothers movie over this steaming pile of crap.
Funny how that works. Also, apparently that smooth Smurf there was voiced by Shaquille O'Neal.
Wait, what?
Looks like it's already time to break out the lazy kid movie cash-in checklist with the pointless celebrity cameo. And there are many such cameos in this, so I'm not gonna bother with checking them all off.
Wow, the graphics on this pop-up book got really good all of a sudden.
The evil wizard Gargamel, played once again by Hank Azaria, had apparently created Smurfette to infiltrate Smurf Village and betray them into his clutches. But Papa Smurf, through the power of love, kindness, and...
A complete makeover.
Thank you. So yeah, Papa Smurf applied some Smurfy magic to her and turned her blue. Yep, a simple change of her skin tone and all her personal problems were gone.
Smurfy cat calls.
Of course. But uh-oh, looks like there was chlorine in that stream there and her blue's coming off. And now she's evil again.
Also, this movie was in 3D at some point. And that's another check.
Huh. Is it weird that the CGI character looks like she's green screened into the scene?
But as you could imagine, it was all a dream, because dreams give exposition, apparently. Now I want you to pay attention to something.
Having that nightmare again?
Papa, every year on my birthday, I have these horrible dreams about where I come from.
Papa Smurf clearly knows what they are.
And yet Smurfette still feels the need to explain it to him. Is that also part of the yearly tradition? Oh dear me, are you having those nightmares again? Oh, Papa, It's dreadful. Every year I have these nightmares where I think about my
I know about these nightmares. I've been told about them before.
But Papa, the audience doesn't know.
Well, actually, I think it kinda is a yearly thing.
And every year, I remind you, it doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is who you choose to be.
Really?
Meanwhile, Gargamel is getting everything he deserves back in the human world, living a life of fame and fortune as a master magician.
Awesome! Best character got the best deal? There is justice in the world!
And because this movie's trying to be relevant, Gargamel was discovered via a viral YouTube video.
Moron.
Well, we've seen stupider things on YouTube. Oh yeah, and his cat Azrael, voiced by Frank Welker and modeled after Mr. Crinkle? Okay. Has a Facebook page. Because that's funny, right? Kind of. A little funny. It's a little funny. But not that funny.
As it turns out, though, Gargamel is running out of the Smurf essence he had accumulated in the first movie and needs to get more to carry out his plan of Smurfy domination.
Also, you may notice that we're not raging very hard just yet. Well, that's because this Gargamel scene is actually pretty long. It's almost like this movie gets that the Gargamel scenes are the only good parts it has.
Now for the main event of this movie. Introducing the Naughties. Vexy, voiced by Christina Ricci, and Hackus, voiced by J.B. Smooth. I wish I had a joke for that name because it's clearly begging for one.
These little gray things are Gargamel's creations, and their deal is that they are, in fact, very naughty. And so they're called the Naughties. You get it? Because they're naughty. Because they're naughty. And this is why we love Gargamel.
Very amusing, my little nut.
Hey, did we please you, Father?
No, you didn't.
He is so shameless in everything he says and does. He says what he thinks regardless of who's listening. There's just something refreshing about that kind of mustache-twirling evil.
But now the fun is over because we have to go back to Smurf Village.
Boo!
Let's see, how many other checks can we put on this list here?
A little lower, Grouchy. I want to be able to whack him right in the Smurfberries.
We have the implied nut shot, preemptive check because there will be real nut shots later.
Kenan Thompson is voicing Greedy Smurf. Jeff Foxworthy is still Handy Smurf.
Code blue.
And look, stupid puns. That's another check.
Followed immediately by the classic misunderstanding. Everyone acts all distant and cold to Smurfette so they don't give away her surprise birthday party.
But Smurfette interprets that as them not wanting to be around her anymore. Oh, the levels of clever writing at work here just make me want to throw up. In fact, I think I will.
You may be noticing that we're not turning into our Shining Leaf form right now for this review like we did for the first movie. Well, there's a reason for that. After seeing that abomination, this is just more of the same. There's really nothing this movie can throw at us that we're not ready to deal with.
Ah, much better.
Ew.
Well, enough of that. Time to look at the stupid humans from the last movie who are not played by Hank Azaria. This is Patrick, once again played by Neil Patrick Harris, and his wife Grace, once more played by Jayma Bays, and introducing the thing that was inside her the last movie, Blue, voiced by Jacob Tremblay.
Yes, they named him Blue.
And it just gets better from here!
Okay, I think I've got everyone's issues covered here. This is an organic, gluten-free, antioxidant-rich acai berry cake made locally by a cruelty-free baker who swears he's never even seen a peanut. Everybody good, right?
Are these plates PCB free?
No.
Actually, we're good.
Actually, we're good. PCB and BPA free.
Yes, it's one of these kinds of gatherings, where if you make one little mistake, you will be ostracized from society.
I want to dump a barrel of imported, artificially flavored peanut butter all over every single one of them and watch them all suffer and drown!
Tone it down, Husky. We don't want to be demonetized.
Okay, naturally flavored.
Perfect. So yeah, here's a subplot. Patrick has to deal with his stepdad, a giant corn dog named Victor Doyle, played by Brendan Gleeson, who sells, what else? Corn dogs.
Do these have any peanuts?
Oh, I would never put peanuts on a corn dog.
Great.
Go ahead, big guy. It's okay. For the simple reason, you see, we deep fry them in peanut oil.
Peanut oil?
What?
Johnny, spit it out!
Okay, I got the phone.
Well, I hate his guts, but at least he livened up the party. Oh! Gargamel's back! Yay, Gargamel!
Now we get to see what evil plan he's concocted while also watching him play around with modern technology.
Boy, I'm enamored of that swiping motion. Swipe.
So yeah, he's planning on making a portal back to Smurf Village to kidnap Smurfette and force her to tell him the formula for turning naughties into Smurfs so that he can squeeze the Smurf essence out of them and make more magic for himself and take over the world.
And he's not shy about it either.
To place you into a terrifying machine and extract your essence.
See?
Will that extracting thing hurt?
Yes.
Very yes.
Excruciating. Once again, Hank Azaria is just having the time of his life, mugging and chewing the scenery like there's no tomorrow. And Husky and I are loving every minute of it.
He goes to the top of the Eiffel Tower to create his portal majigger, but when it comes time to dive dramatically in and carry out his plan, it no big enough.
He apparently only had enough Smurf essence to make a Smurf-sized portal, meaning he's got to send a Smurf-sized minion to do his dirty work.
Now, I must warn you, your destination is a true horror. A realm filled with the relentless, crushing quiet of peace, punctuated by the wretched cacophony of joyousness. It's horrible.
Peace? Joy? What are you doing up there?
So Gargamel sends in Vexy because she's not a brainless moron, and she lures in Smurfette by pretending to be a runaway.
Ah, what a devious damsel she turned out to be.
I'm going to require you not do that again.
Also, this movie was in 3D, remember? Everyone gets there too late to stop her, Smurfette is captured, and it's time for the plot to get a-rolling.
Here's the thing about pretty much every Gargamel scene we're going to be talking about here.
They are hilarious.
And there's really not a whole lot else we can comment on, so let's skip ahead to the mind-numbing irritation that is Smurf Village.
We joined Papa Smurf showing off his latest plot devices, Smurf portation crystals that'll get them back to the human world.
Very clever, Papa.
Smurf exactly.
And of course this scene is filled with the word Smurf over and over again because why the heck wouldn't it be? I hate this movie.
He's only got enough crystals to take 3 guys with him, so he picks the bravest, smartest, and strongest to do the job.
Also, meet passive-aggressive Smurf, voiced by Jimmy Kimmel.
I think Brainy is a really excellent choice. Good luck with that. You see what he does? That's not a compliment.
He's not funny.
I don't even know who's supposed to find that entertaining. If it's a parental bonus in some way, it, like most parental bonus attempts in these films, flops hard.
So they're about to get on their way, but oh no, Clumsy Smurf from the first movie proves himself a liability again by triggering some shenanigans.
Stand back! I know the Smurflick maneuver!
I'm sure you do.
Are they even trying? Do they even care? Did anyone care?
And of course, this results in them leaving behind the moderately cool Smurfs, one of which was voiced by Alan Cumming, and taking along 3 morons. Clumsy, voiced by the late Anton Yelchin, Vanity, voiced by John Oliver, and Grouchy, voiced by You're Gonna Regret It regular George Lopez.
Now we rejoin up with the subplot with Patrick and his daddy issues after the whole peanut incident.
Johnny can breathe again, which makes 2 of us since both of his parents are lawyers.
Well, that's why they overreacted.
They didn't overreact.
He's dying!
I am so endeared to him. I almost don't want him to catch fire and die! Yeah, this moron has no clue about the ramifications of his actions. At all. And Patrick doesn't like him. At all. And neither do we. At all.
He explains that he used to have a pet parrot as a child before his biological father left him, and that Victor sent it away when he came into his life. Since then, he's been constantly ruining things.
Whoop, no time for that. Time for the Smurfs to come back into the picture.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Mugging for the Camera!
You could at least try to make a better face than that.
Yeah, there's an art to mugging for the camera, and you clearly don't have it.
You know who does have it? Roll that clip from the first movie!
Oh, I love emerging dramatically through the smoke. It makes me...
That is how you mug. So the Smurfs explain the situation to Patrick and the gang, and seriously, all that kid does is giggle in this movie.
It's annoying! Anyway, Victor invites himself along for the rescue mission, and so we cut to Paris, listening to yet another box in the checklist.
Popular music soundtrack that will be dated in 2 years. Check. So they all arrive in Paris to track down Gargamel, Victor foreshadowing that he's going to do something stupid, and...
Oh, you cannot handle me in a ballet.
Is it what you think?
Oh, let me... Get a shroom.
Good crap, do you see why this movie is so tedious?
These are their jokes. Just stupid, lazy, no good, dirty puns.
That is until Gargamel shows up again. Here we go, back to the performance we like. Gargamel is having no luck getting the formula out of Smurfette, but he can still use her hair to produce more Smurf essence for his show.
Once again, cutting her hair like a creeper. He did that in the last movie too. She tries to escape, but accomplishes nothing.
Hello, pretty lady.
Pretty lady? You realize that's your sister, right? Or is this movie trying to be really creepy?
So the Not Gargamels put their plan into action with Grace striking out on finding Gargamel's room number, Patrick saying merci beaucoup over and over again, and...
Positively outraged.
I'm sorry, who are you?
I am Monsieur Gargamel's manager, Madame...
Grace disguising herself as Audrey Hepburn.
What is this? No one wants to be on the
5th floor.
And it actually works. Somehow. I don't even care. Anyway, Patrick manages to get his pint-sized protagonist into the backstage area, and Gargamel continues to be awesome.
This is how I treat all the critics. Ha!
Oh, don't worry, Hank.
Our problem's not with you. After some awkward elevator time with Grace, we get back to...
Oh, I bet my glutes look great climbing up this rope.
Our heroes doing their thing. Oh yeah, and Victor's here. And of course he brought Blue. Why wouldn't he? Name one reason why he wouldn't bring along a young child whose sole function in life is to giggle annoyingly.
Oh, look at that. Victor is ruining everything because, like the Smurfs, he has only one character trait. And, as is the obvious conclusion, after trying to directly confront Gargamel, he gets turned into a duck. Quack!
The Smurfs happen upon a secret chamber in Gargamel's dressing room, but Smurfette isn't there.
She slipped out during the whole duck thing. Quack!
Gargamel triggers some slapstick, sending them tumbling into information the audience already has.
What was the point of telling the audience twice?
An excuse to give Hank Azaria more screen time.
Oh. Awesome!
So now the good guys have a talking duck to deal with.
What are you looking at?
Hurry up.
It's global warming. Buy a Prius.
And there went the only actual humor they get from this situation.
We rejoin Smurfette, and no one notices the tiny blue person running around their ankles. Sheesh, Parisians are even more jaded than New Yorkers. So the naughties catch up to her, and Vexy is toying with all of the ripe little insecurities in Smurfette's head.
Meanwhile, Hackus is creating a ruckus for the sole intent of manipulating her, forcing her to perform acts of thievery and vandalism for the sake of some greater good.
Look, Hank Azaria, you're fun, right?
How am I going to get Smurfette to give me that formula, Azriel? This whole thing just makes me want to... cry? No, flush it down the toilet bowl.
This guy's my freaking hero.
Mostly because the actual heroes in this movie are...
So handsome.
What are you so cross about? I'm the duck.
Our heroes are unfunny morons lacking in any kind of entertainment value. Gargamel is pretty much all we've got. Azrael, Gargamel's feline minion, suggests giving Smurfette a nice little birthday party to get her to comply more.
Not now, Azrael. I'm trying to think of a genuine and heartfelt gift that I can deceive that Smurfette with. I said not now. Not now, not now, not now.
Then Gargi throws him out the window. That's how I solve my problems, too. Ow. Now we see... What? What? I'm confused.
I see we got some trailer fuel here. Anyway, we rejoin our heroes.
Except that everything was a complete Smurf-catastrophe. It's Murphy's Law.
Yeah, what is this movie's problem? Is it really so hard to tell any kind of a joke that isn't just a stupid pun? Is it really necessary to give all of your good jokes to one guy? Would it seriously kill anyone to have, like, one idea of how to tell a freaking joke that doesn't make me want to punch every baby within a 12-mile radius?
You haven't had a rage like that in a while. Feel better?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's keep going.
So yeah, Smurfette is bonding with the naughties. That's all we can really say about this. Oh yeah, did I mention this was in 3D? This was in 3D. Oh, and I guess she's been practicing being a delinquent, playing right into their hands. Oh, the suspense. As you may have noticed, I'm not terribly invested in Smurfette's fall from grace.
No!
But rather than dismiss it as a simple result of the movie being terrible, I really want to break it down and figure out exactly why it is that I'm not invested. Let me ask you a question. How much do we know about Smurfette? What sets her apart as a character? What makes her interesting? Is it the fact that she's a girl who isn't a naughty? If that's all she's got, that's not enough. At this point, there are two characters in whom I have any kind of investment, and they are Patrick and Gargamel. Patrick because I relate to him not caring much for his stepdad's antics, and Gargamel because he is a force of nature that's just too fascinating to look away from. None of that applies to Smurfette.
Speaking of Patrick, we get one of his scenes now.
He's not my father.
Well, that's too bad. Because that pretty much leaves you without one.
Well, that was intense. And brief. What did that accomplish? This is just one of those movies that just can't sit still for any length of time. At least we get to see a sweet Gargamel impression from Neil Patrick Harris.
10 minutes, or I will turn you into a legless tree sloth.
How was that?
Smurfs.
Then...
Duck. Duck. Duck.
Goose!
Oh, Patrick forgot some security card that he needs and acquired somehow. I was totally paying attention.
You're slipping, ain't you?
I might be slipping. So Patrick gets them into the hotel disguised as room service.
My friend, there are no such thing as problems, only Smurfopportunities.
If I'm slipping, that's the reason why.
Hey, Leaf. Patrick had his own usable card thingy the whole time, so Victor Duck didn't even need to get involved at all.
But when he does get in...
You're welcome.
Everything you touch dies.
Find a nice hole to crawl into and don't move until the mission is over.
Well, in spite of that oh-so-minor setback of getting separated from their human, the Smurfy Stooges still managed to wind up in Gargamel's room. Barely.
Ugh, I am covered in filth. I look like something the cat dragged in. Ah!
So that happened. So before Azrael can cut this movie short, Smurfette and the Naughties show up, close the doors, and lock their rescue team outside.
They see her palling around with the enemy and are sad. Also, I love how they can hear every word she's saying from where they are, and yet Smurfette can't hear them calling out to her in full voice.
Look, it's Gargamel, and he's trying to pretend to be nice and crap. He talks about how they're a family and whatnot, and then he starts to reminisce.
I remember when my father threw me down the well for the first time. Oh, the disappointed look on his face when I finally managed to claw my way out.
Gargamel's the perfect storm of this is hilarious and what the heck is wrong with this guy.
Gargamel offers Smurfette what every little girl wants.
A creepy action figure of their dad.
I was referring to the magic dragon wand. Smurfette does bring up a good point, though.
How do you know I won't use it on you?
His response?
Because, Smurfette, I am your father. Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
If anyone else in this movie had made that reference, it would have sucked.
If anyone else in this movie had made that reference, it would have had the word Smurf in it somewhere.
So yeah, the dark side feels pretty good, and yet no one hears all the noise they're making outside. Oh. Well then. I guess it doesn't really matter anymore.
We rejoin these two, and, just watch while I speak. Everyone in this movie is trying to get Patrick to bond with his dad more, but objectively speaking, he really does ruin everything he involves himself in. He makes everything worse and has no redeeming qualities. Oh, except that one thing that Grace mentions here.
He shows up.
Yeah, 'cause his being here makes life so much better for everyone.
We have no reason to side with this guy over anything. All we get are reasons to see why Patrick is right. At least Road Chip eventually gave us reason to think that What's-His-Name had a decent person inside of him somewhere. It came too little too late for my taste, but someone could argue that I was being unfair to that movie.
Not so here. He's probably only gonna have one moment where he doesn't make everything worse, and we as the audience are supposed to think that that makes up for everything.
There is a strong point to be made with this kind of setup, but the makers of this movie did not care to execute on it. They just slapped a moral onto it because kids' movies are supposed to have them. Check.
Okay, rant over. Back to movie.
I have seen unspeakable things down there.
I am resisting the urge to go on another rant about the dangers of lazy comedy. I want to see thank you messages in the comments below.
Okay, so back to the movie for real this time. Patrick and Victor have a confrontation and get this. Remember that parrot we mentioned forever ago? The one that Victor apparently sent out once he moved into Patrick's life? Patrick always thought he sent it away because Victor was allergic to it. But...
I was not allergic to that bird, Patrick.
Yes, you were.
No, I wasn't. You were.
This is the stupidest reveal I've ever heard. So much stupid would have to go into this situation to make it work. Yes, I understand protecting a child from information that would only do more harm than good, but this is handled so stupidly. Where were the hints that he was a better man than this? We got hints that Patrick was freaking allergic to birds before now. Where was it subtly revealed that Victor was in any way worthy of our respect? I was kidding before about how little attention I was paying. Where was that point? And if that wasn't bad enough...
Truth itches, doesn't it?
They try to put a pun. A goofy little pun in what's supposed to be a serious scene. As if it wasn't hard enough to take it seriously. Do you know why I hate this scene so much? Because it has a legitimate point in it.
Stop blaming everyone else for your pain. And whatever you do, don't teach that beautiful son of yours that love is conditional, because it is not.
That's a hugely important point, but we don't see or feel any of it throughout this movie. All we saw were blowhard dads with no sense of responsibility for their actions, inflated senses of self-importance, a guy who is almost every bit as bad as Patrick says he was, and freaking puns!
Then you decide to drop a bombshell like this into the mix? I'm sorry, Road Chip was unworthy of the subject it tackled, and you are far less worthy to tackle these subjects presented here. I know that was another rant, but I get testy about these things. You know what we need?
Oh, Monsieur Gargamel!
Thank you for keeping our seats warm. Goodbye.
Bye-bye!
Oh, good. This is just what we needed to recover from that festering pile of false pathos.
You're bitter, ain't you?
I wouldn't be me if I wasn't. Gargamel has taken the crew on a celebratory outing, and this eventually happens.
and Gargy's enjoying every minute of it. Oh, well, I guess the fun's over then. Now it's time for more of that message from before.
Am I just being unfair to this movie? They're talking about how Papa Smurf thinks he hadn't done enough to win Smurfette's love and loyalty, but then Patrick tells him that he did more than enough in showing her a very special type of love.
He then connects the dots and realizes that's exactly what Victor did for him.
Oh, how sweet. The guy's a bungler, but he had love. You know what he didn't have? Respect. It was shown that he was this kind of person from the very beginning of the—
Okay, calm down, we get it. You could write a book on how they screwed the pooch on his character, but we gotta move on.
Fine, let's go. So immediately after that tender and reflective scene, we get—
A few more bubbles. How's that?
Is a Smurf's butt blue?
You tell me.
Oh boy. Oh good crap, this movie is not good enough for the awesomeness that is Remember the Name!
No, Husky. No, it's not.
Screw you, movie!
I am so done with this movie. The heroes and villains mobilize to a song that's too good for them. Vanity Smurf frustrates me. Victor appears, suddenly showing competence he's never had through the rest of the movie. Smurfette refuses to give up the formula. Gargamel is still hilarious, but threatens to kill the naughties if he doesn't get his way. Smurfette caves. Vexy and Hackus are blue now, the racist. Gargamel snatches them up to harvest their Smurf essence. Gargamel is still the best part of this movie. Grouchy gets non-fatally electrocuted, which sucks. The machine is put temporarily out of commission, forcing Gargamel to invest in alternate energy sources. The Smurfs reunite only to be captured. Gargamel seems to be compensating for something. He uses all of their extracted essence to make himself ultra powerful. Patrick and Victor save the day like idiots. Bingo boom, the formula burns up, and it's not like Gargi could have memorized it or anything. France is experiencing what it would realistically interpret as a blue terrorist attack. This scene nauseates me. Gargamel is still the only good part of this movie. The day is saved, and I want this movie dead.
The end! Why are you still up there?
Long story short, this movie is garbage. Is it as bad as the first? No, but there's a reason for that. That reason being that they spent more time focusing on the only good thing these movies have going for them. Hank Azaria as Gargamel. Once again, he is having so much fun and his performance is so full of energy that we can't help but smile whenever he's on screen. As for the rest of the movie, it's terrible for the same reason as the first, but somehow it feels more diluted this time around. Whether that's because this movie changed its formula somehow, or we've just grown some kind of immunity to it, I don't know. The real thing this movie did to get under my skin was squander a very important message. I do not believe for a moment that the people responsible for putting this narrative together cared about their message. They just wanted to fill in another box on the checklist. The items on the checklist are not inherently bad, but when used as a crutch, they can guarantee disaster for your movie.
You know what we haven't done in a while?
Way ahead of you. But since this is a special occasion, let's let our new friend take care of it. Persona. I am fighting Leaf, the kid movie ninja. Don't forget it, or you're gonna regret it. This is a Patreon shout for Jordan Mathis, Steve Sharp, and Craig Palmer. Check out Steve Sharp's music at his YouTube page, Sharp Rain, in the description below. And become a patron today. Bye!
Swipe?